Good morning, City Council. Good morning. If you can hear the sound of my voice, please log into your e-voting device. Please log into your e-voting device. If you need help, please raise your hand. If you need help, please raise your hand. The City Council will start in a moment.
The council will come to order. Madam Clerk, please take a quorum roll call.
Good morning. If you can please, good morning. If you can please log into your e-device. We're opening the vote now. Please vote with your e-voting device. We're opening the quorum roll call now. I will now call for a voice vote from those who are not e-voted. Alderman Robinson, not present. Alderman Yancey, not present. Alderman Hall. Alderman Hall is present. Alderman Mitchell, not present. Alderwoman Haley. I'm sorry, Alderwoman Gutierrez, not present. Alderman Moore. Alderman Moore is present. Alderman Curtis, not present. Alderwoman Taylor, not present. Alderman Mosley. Present. Alderman Mosley is present. Alderman Irvin. Alderman Irvin is present. Alderman Gardner. Alderman Gardner is not present. The quorum is now closed. We have a quorum.
There are 43 members present. We do have a quorum. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all very much. Please remain standing for the invocation, which will be delivered by Pastor Juan Rios of Chicago Tabernacle.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. God bless you guys. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment of silence. I'd like to have a moment of silence. We all know of the conflict that's happening in the Middle East, and if you guys would join me in a moment of silence to acknowledge what's going on. Heavenly Father, we just want to thank you, Father. I want to thank you for this precious gift of life that you have given us, Lord. And before I continue, I want to ask for your perfect peace, oh God, to be in the Middle East, oh God. I pray, oh God, that you would stop the conflict, oh God, that is occurring right now, oh Lord. I pray that you would touch the hearts of each and every person that's involved in the conflict, Lord, and that you would bring peace to them, Lord, that you would fill them with your perfect peace, oh God, and they would come to their senses and just stop the violence. I want to thank you all again for allowing me to be here with you guys this morning. Alderman Cruz for the invitation, Mayor Johnson, City Council members, I want to thank you all for having me. And right now, Lord, I just want to ask, oh God, that you would give clarity, insight, wisdom, oh Father, to each and every person here, oh God, as they decide on the things that need to be decided on. Lord, I pray, oh God, that you would allow them wisdom, oh God. Your word says that it is better to gain wisdom and insight than silver and gold, oh Lord. So I pray that you would give guidance, direction, oh God, to each and every person here, Lord, as they make the decisions that carry the weight upon our great city. I pray, oh Lord, that you would give them a sense of clarity, oh God, of guidance and direction, oh Lord, that they would be able to push the proper agenda forward, oh God, for the welfare of the people of the city of Chicago. Lord, it is you that's sovereign, and I thank you for allowing us the opportunity to serve this great city, oh God. In your name, I lift all of these things up to you. Amen.
Amen. Please be seated. Madam Clerk, please read the call for today's special meeting.
The following call for a special meeting of the City Council was filed in my office on Thursday, October 5th, 2023 at 11:24 a.m. Dear Mrs. Valencia, I hereby call a special meeting of the City Council of the City of Chicago to be convened at 10 a.m. on Wednesday, October 11, 2023 in the City Council Chamber in City Hall for the following purposes and for no other purpose whatsoever: to receive the executive budget for the year beginning on January 1st, 2024 and ending December 31st, 2024, and the mayor's budget message relating thereto, and to receive and place on file a communication from the budget director regarding estimated levies, and to consider a resolution calling for a publication of the 2024 executive budget, setting the date, time, and place of the public hearing on the executive budget. Very truly yours, Brandon Johnson, Mayor.
Thank you very much. This is the time of the meeting for public comments.
The council will now begin the public comment period, which is limited to a maximum of 30 minutes. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. Speakers cannot yield or transfer their time to another speaker. Any written comments that have been submitted will be posted and made available for automatic review. Our first speaker today is Ursula Allen.
My name is Ursula Allen. I live in the 7900 block on South. Oh, I can't think. You have to kind of bear with me because this is new to me. I live in the 79 house block on, let's see, can't even think. But anyway, my problem is dealing with the migrants that came in. I live in a building that has it's a 3-flat. I live on the 2nd floor. The migrants moved to the 1st floor and the apartment in the basement. I cannot live there. They play music 24 hours a day. They very rude. They very disrespectful. I'm a senior citizen who worked for the Chicago Board of Education for 47 years. Every day went to work. I think I should have some kind of something done. I have went to the police station. The police tells me that noise is not a crime. I've been to the alderman's office. They have done nothing. I've been there. I've been to the senator. I've been to the police station. I've been everywhere trying to get some kind of relief. These people get up at 7. They go to bed at about 4 in the morning, and they get up again around 12 o'clock. They start the music, banging all day long. And then when they go to sleep, I'm up, but they don't have no noise, so they can sleep all day long. They sleep all day. They wake up around 12 o'clock. And then they start the same music all day long. Like I said, I called everybody. I have had nobody to give me any relief. I think that as a senior citizen, I should be able to live peaceful. Beg your pardon?
Please, could you make sure they mute so we can hear the testimony?
Okay, I live on Winchester, 7900 block on South Winchester in the 17th Ward, which I have got nothing from nobody. Nobody has said nothing to help me. I live alone. And the first night that these people came, they had a party that went on from 8 at night to 8 in the morning. Police called. I have called the police at least 10 to 12 times. There have been not one policeman came to my house. One came one night. But I would just like some help. And then the landlady said, I should move if I ain't happy. So I just need somebody to help me to stop this noise so I can get some sleep at night. I do not sleep. They play music till 4 in the morning. Then they go to sleep half of the morning, then wake up at 12, start the same thing over again. And she said it's about 8 of them there. If it's 8 of them there, it's 15 of them live there. This is what I had to say.
Thank you very much for your comments. Our next speaker is Melvin Bailey.
Hey, thank you, City Council, for hearing me again. So when we talk about this budget, we need to do a forensic audit on every department head in the city of Chicago. I guarantee you we can find some of this money for these migrants. But don't jump on our mayor. This ain't his fault. He's trying to straighten it out. But I guarantee you that you can find some money from these big major construction companies that are coming down here begging for some money, talking about hiring subcontractors that's African American. They talk black, look black, but don't hire nobody black. So if we look deeper into, I just got a phone call. I just heard Streets and Sand was putting some people out of Garfield Park was homeless, throwing their tents away, and they homeless. Come on now, let's look deeper into what we're talking about here on Changing Lives. And I'd like to thank the aldermen for supporting me building these houses. You know, I always got to go back to building houses because I've been coming down here for the past 15, 20 years talking about opportunity, and now these aldermen just sitting there in this room today supported me, and we finally got them up. I hired 8 individuals. Thanks to the workforce development, we changing lives by workforce development and creating opportunity. So what we're doing is getting the guns out their hands. Like I was telling them 15 years ago, if we invest in the people, we can get these guns out their hand and they won't come up north robbing. I was telling the council members that when Ron Emanuel was in office. If we invest in these young kids now, they won't go up north. Where they at? Up north, Wrigley Field, downtown? Come on, talk to me, because I talk back. Seriously. So again, once we do a forensic audit on every city agency, let's break their budget down. And you'll see there's a lot of wasteless spending. Millions of wasteless spending. So we need to look at that. Melvin, even CHA. Now CHA want to meet after I bust them out last council meeting. Why I got to come down here and mention names who need to get fired that's sitting high looking low down in our community? We invested in our community. You see this head, I say I was built in Chicago. I'm born and raised in Chicago. I love this city, and I wanted to see it change. But I don't want y'all to see jumping on the mayor about the migrant. That ain't his problem. But we need to find, they don't need to be in all our park districts either. So it's a double-edged sword. So I'm from Austin. I just got to keep it honest. But again, I'd like to thank y'all for this opportunity, and I'm trying to think who name I need to mention to get fired around here. I'm dead serious because I'm up here. I might as well tell the truth. Because I've been fighting for opportunity for years, trying to get these young men to change their ways and change their mindset, because when they call me, big bro, just help me with a job, big brother, I'll stop. So thank God that Alderman Monique Scott said, "Man, I'm coming to my ward, build some houses." Pat Dow said, "Come in my ward." I know I'm gone.
Thank you very much for your comments. Our next speaker is Buthania Hateb.
Hello. Hi, can everyone hear me? I would like to start off I'm here today to talk about what's going on in Gaza. As a second generation Chicagoan and Palestinian American, I'd like to remind everyone that Chicagoland is home to the largest Palestinian community in the United States. And I'm standing here today to ask Chicago leaders to stand in support of Palestinians in Gaza and to hold the Israeli government accountable for the decades of violence they have subjected Palestinians to. Since 2005, Palestinians in Gaza have been living in an open-air prison, what some may consider a concentration camp. Palestinians in Gaza tell us at the end of all of this, we will either be killed or be free, and either is better than being caged. Calling what happened on October 7th as an unprovoked attack is objectively false. Since 1948, we have called on the United Nations to support Palestinians and to hold the Israeli government accountable. We've called on international law, we've called for international pressure, sat in negotiations, called for boycotts, called for divestment, called on the United States government, and no one has responded. So 4 days ago, we entered into a new era of the Palestinian struggle for liberation. Every single day, Palestinians are being held hostage by the Israeli occupation, but that is not news to Americans. Palestinians are only talked about in the United States when we respond to violence and injustice. What is happening in Palestine is a grave injustice. If we want to see an end to the cycle of violence, we can no longer stand idly by while Palestinians are subjugated and killed at the hands of Israeli forces. I implore the city of Chicago to take a principled stance alongside Palestinians. I implore all of you to look at the historical context and analyze the power structures at play between Israel and Palestine. Israel has one of the most powerful militaries in the world and is attacking a largely defenseless and trapped civilian population. When Russia invaded Ukraine last year, the United States unequivocally stood by Ukrainians, supported Ukrainian resistance, and understood that military occupation is wrong. Where is this understanding for Palestine? As a lifelong Chicago resident, the city of Chicago has to look at the objective reality of the situation. Palestinians have been under siege for too long, and Hamas's actions were a result of the Israeli government and American support for the Israeli government. Now is the time to work with coalitions and seek progressive change for what's happening. We must honor Palestinian human rights and everyone's right to self-determination, which is rooted in progressive politics. I ask the next time you see that someone says Israel has a right to defend itself, ask that same question for Palestinians. Palestinians have the same right to defend themselves. Later on, you will be introduced to Silverstein's resolution condemning Hamas. All I ask is that resolution will be detrimental to the Palestinian and broader progressive movement in Chicago. We have to take a principled stance and stand on the right side of history. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Our next speaker is Arwa Winter.
Good morning, Arwa Karen Winters, 15th District Councilwoman, 28th Ward. Jason Irving is my alderman, and I'm here to speak on behalf of Good Kids Mad City. Good Kids Mad City is a youth-led organization that has put the Peace Book inside of City Council, and Mayor Brandon Johnson made it a campaign promise that the Peace Book would be passed in his first 100 days of office, and I think that was August 22nd, and we're still waiting on the Peace Book to be passed. Good Kids Mad City is not an adult organization where they put young people at the forefront of it. It is strictly a youth-led organization and at the forefront. And the Peace Book would allow them to work with young people in communities that are being harmed by adults who keep perpetrating like they're doing them good and harm, and we see what's happening across our city. There's an African proverb that says when children do not feel love and warmth and care for, they will set their village on fire to feel its warmth. And that is what is happening in our city right now because we're not giving them what they need. While we're trying to accommodate other people, there's some young person in this city tonight that will be homeless. There's some young person in this city tonight that will not have food. There's some young person in this city tonight that will not have clothing. Good Kids Mad City is that organization, and that ordinance needs to be passed. The Peace Book. Roots to Wings is where I'm a project lead, and we work with families who've been impacted by intercommunal gun violence. It is the only organization in the city that works with people who have been impacted by police gun violence as well as intercommunal gun violence. And we help families, and we don't take them through all the red tape because we understand the trauma that happens with our families. We had a mother who was shot in front of her children, and her landlord showed her no compassion. They were trying to evict her, and we stepped in to help make sure that mother kept her housing. We have a mother in the audience right up there right now who has lost her daughter to intercommunal gun violence, who lost her great nephew to intercommunal gun violence, her sister to a train accident in the city. And she is not a data point to us. She is family to us, and we need these services and we need these funds. I need to get back to work. I'm unemployed right now, and I was depending on my work with Rooster Wings to work with our families in the city, as well as the work that Good Kids Mass City is ready to do. They want to work with their peers. Young people learn from other young people. They see so many of our adults doing so much wrong and harm, most of our adults causing the harm. They don't want to work with them. So we need to empower our young people. This is not just a city for us. This is their city. We're supposed to be the infrastructure building things up for them, but we're concerned about so many other things, and I'm concerned. I don't remember, and I know you inherited the migrant population, but I don't remember it being a campaign promise, but I do remember the peace book being one of your campaign promises, Mayor Johnson, and I'm actually to strongly consider passing the peace book so our young people can get to work and save our other young people. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Our next speaker is Kofi Adamala.
All right, good morning, everybody. My name is Kofi Adamola. I am a resident of the 20th Ward. I live in Woodlawn. And today I'm also here to speak about you all supporting the Peace Book. I've had the opportunity to sit down with a lot of you elected officials to talk about what the Peace Book is, what it entails, but now we're at a critical point. We are fortunate that murder has been down in the city of Chicago and is trending down. That is a beautiful thing. However, we also have to acknowledge that Chicago has the most mass shootings in the country. Our city does. We also have to acknowledge that a 7-year-old child was just shot last week, that over 5 teenagers were shot last week. And we're in a situation where young people are being impacted daily by gun violence. And we're not just talking about them being victims of gun violence, we're talking about the trauma that goes on because they've lost a family member. We expect them to go to school. We expect parents to go to work, but there are no true trauma-informed support systems. And the Peace Book will provide that. It is an app that people can get on to find out where peacekeeping is happening in their community. It's an app where they can find out where resources are. So if they need mental health care, that'll be provided like for treatment, not trauma, right? And once we bring Chicago home, we can look on that app to find out where we can get some stable housing. So those are the resources that we are demanding that our young people have access to. Right now, there's no youth-centered employment where young people can practice restorative justice throughout the district of CPS, where young people can leave the juvenile detention center and have immediate employment to become peacekeepers in that community. That's what we need. We need young people invested in. They need to have these jobs, these resources, and the ability to be the arbitrators of peace in their community. We criminalize young people. We hold them accountable when they are 16, 13, and they're carjacking or committing other types of harm in the community. All of a sudden, we adultify them, right? But when we say they should be leaders and they should be leading the charge to create peace in their communities, all of a sudden, we don't look at them as being able to facilitate that. And that's not right. So please, in this 2024 budget, we want to see enough money carved out to employ young people, to hire over 10,000 people if possible, to become peacekeepers in that community and have those direct resources so we can make sure that Chicago is truly a safe city. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Our next speaker is Jessica Jackson.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I know today is a budget meeting, and I know a lot of money will be given to this thing of immigration. And I know that it'll get a spin put on it that this is about being a sanctuary city and about being a welcoming city. And it'll be said that it's for asylum seekers, all of which is not true. This money that's being taken from black communities, the South Side and the West Side, moving out people from communities, moving out people from field houses, moving children from field houses, like that situation on the west side with a Munson Park. I hope I'm saying that name right. That's disgraceful. The fact that senior citizens are being displaced for immigrants is disgraceful. The fact that this city can't come up with the money to, for economic development for black communities is disgraceful. And to have your deputy mayor say that that we need to remember that these are human beings, as if black people need to be reminded of what being treated like a human being in America is, when we got a 3/5 clause in the Constitution and consider us property, and we got to be told and reminded about being human. That's a disgrace. Now, I asked you, Mayor Johnson, to deal with my mother's estate in probate. Am I not human? Is my housing situation not critical? You're gonna have your assistant call me? When I told you this is a problem in the black community. The probate division is stealing our property with the help of the public administration office. I told you, those white judges in the probate division, Judge Gallagher, Judge Terrence McGuire, Chief Justice Timothy Evans himself, and you didn't do nothing about it. But you want us to be sympathetic to people coming across the border that's well-bodied, able people. You want to give work permits to them and watch people here not work so that they could come here and undercut the wages of Americans? Because that's what's going to happen, right? Take care of your own. New police chief officer, go over there to that probate division and get them white, crooked judges. Deal with white-collar crime.
Thank you, Ms. Jackson, for your comments. Our next speaker is Jermaine Dixon.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Jermaine Dixon. I'm a CNA at Mount Sinai Hospital.
Good morning.
I'm a union steward at Mount Sinai, and I'm speaking on behalf of 90,000 healthcare workers. Okay, today, I'm nervous right now, y'all. Bear with me. Okay, I'm taking care, well, I'm representing 90,000 home care workers, healthcare workers, whatever you want to call it. And we take care of all different type of walks of life. And I'm so nervous today. I am supporting Mayor Johnson because I know that you can't do everything at one time and one day overnight. And I hope that this budget is enough money to take care of everybody, as well as the migrants, because they are human just like we are. And everybody needs a chance. I was just defending the mayor the other day because they were saying, like, he's here and he's accepting all these people over here and he's forgetting about the people that's already here. I don't think that that's the case. What I do know is that God has the last say over everything. That's all of us, because we all are people. The thing is, we just need to get some type of thing so that can help everybody. So when they start building these shelters and everything for these people, they need to include the people that was already here homeless. So it won't be no discrepancy or nobody mad about anything or anything like that. Then another thing, like I gave the story before that I've been homeless before. And this money is to help people, to give us a chance, because everybody is not the same. Some people do want a chance. Some people do want the help to accept it. From when I was growing up, they said it's supposed to be the land of the free. So it's supposed to be free for everybody. So if it's enough money, so we need to keep this money together to keep the money where to be enough for everybody, not just for one set of people or trying to help one set of people or these people on this side or these people on that side. Last week, I did some door knocking for the representative in the state Senate, and I learned some things last week that I never knew. We got communities that's like caged in, where you can only get into the community one way, and then you have to come back out the same way to get out of there. Our communities can be the same way, so the peace could be everywhere, not just down the street, because it's like Roosevelt and Racine, on the other side of Walgreens, it's horrible. On this side of Racine and Roosevelt, it's like you went into another town. It's totally different. When me and the guy walked over there and we door knocked, people was so different, and like, this world is sad. Like, people don't care about nothing. We just need to keep this money and so we can help everybody. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Our next speaker is Yolanda Judah.
Good morning, City Council.
Good morning.
Make sure you get every single word on record. I could stand here all day and tell you how bad your politics are, but I won't. Instead, I'll tell you the reality of Palestinians. A reality you try to deny and cover up in hopes of protecting a dystopian society that is Israel. The illegal state of Israel has done more harm to the world than good. Countless horrendous acts carried out by the Israeli government all over the world, but everyone seems to turn a blind eye. Just like Council Member Deborah Silverstein. Where are you, Deborah? There you are. You've said, I have family that lives in Israel that are being called up to serve in the army, putting their lives in harm's way after this brutal attack. Did you know, Deborah, that the illegal state of Israel forces every person with Israeli citizenship to join the army after high school? Teaching how to murder and displace Palestinians, trained with such unethical morals that even if they suspect a person of being Palestinian, they will be murdered. And we are not allowed to resist after 75 years of oppression. Zionists will kill their own to hide the truth. Does that tell you nothing? Silverstein goes on to say, this is the worst attack in history. Which has me to believe, does she even know any? These are the peoples that we entrust in office. People like Council Member Deborah Silverstein support the illegal, murderous state of Israel when they disregard the real history that Israel inflicted on the world. So let's have a quick lesson. When Israel exported and funded genocide in South Africa during the apartheid, or the genocide in Rwanda that lasted 100 days, or what about Israel? Or what about when Israel gave weapons and trained state forces during the Guatemalan Civil War that killed over 200,000 indigenous Mayans and displaced over 1 million more? Can you see the pattern of their sick, twisted ways? Their unethical tactics to oppress hit closer to home than any of you want to admit, especially the chief of police. The Israeli involvement with training U.S. police, when hundreds of American police officers, including FBI, CIA, and ICE agents, were sent to Israel to train in camps on illegal settlements. This is something CPD's finest still attends, being taught firsthand how to kill and harm people of color. Among the tactics Israel teaches to U.S. police officers is the need to...
Thank you, Ms. Judah, for your comments. However, your time has expired. Thank you, Ms. Judah. Thank you, Ms. Judah. However, your time has expired. Ms. Judah, thank you very much for your comments. However, your time has expired. Our next speaker this morning is Keith Kiesel.
Good morning. I'm going to try to say as quick as I can. First of all, I'd like to say I do stand with Israel because I know people just escaped in my church organization barely got out of that place alive within 2 days of that attack. So I do stand with Israel and that resolution. Quick things I wanted to say: traffic management roving. A suggestion that the traffic managed aids that we have could be used to help free up CPD by having them rove into major incidents like fires, traffic accidents, maybe lights out by Midway Airport. Put those traffic aids there, let them direct traffic, and free up all the extra police officers at these major incidents. Also, for revenue enforcement of stores charging sales tax and bag taxes, many stores in the hood, gas stations do not charge sales taxes, and they don't charge the substance for the bag, including major stores in the city. For migrants, this is my main issue because I've been working frontline as one of the mutual aid workers with the migrants from the beginning. First of all, we should call in the UN. This is an international issue. That's what the UN does, relief stuff. Let's call in the UN for help. Have some staff at the police stations to help monitor but not kick out us volunteers, us mutual aid workers, and some of them have been texting me what to say. As soon as they get into the shelters, they shut us off. People like me, I've helped get the kids into the schools that have bilingual education, not the ones that's trying to get the money before the 20th day. But I've helped get these kids into schools where they could get the right education. I've helped these kids get clothes. I've helped them get on different things for them. Once they get into the shelter, we're shut out. They shut us out. We want to still be able to work with our families we work with once we get in there. Also, when we put shelters in the schools, I got a text from one, he was an English-speaking migrant, real educated. They would not let his kids into the school in the boundaries of the shelter they put them in. That was just against STLS rules. We need to make sure the schools are enforcing the Homeless Act rules for the kids. We must, yes, we can welcome, but again, we must say enough is enough. We have to stop, because they are coming to Chicago because they know we're going to take care of them. And it's overwhelming. It's getting too much. I'm helping as much as I can. I'm not against them, but we have to stand up and say enough is enough. If they're going to break the laws of the city, I know what we got this safe zone, but if they're not going to respect the laws of the city, and I know what's going on, I won't say it on the microphone, but you can see me afterwards, I can tell you. If they're going to enforce the rules, they're going to be here, they're going to have to obey the rules or go back home. That's all I'm going to say right now. And that's the main thing I just wanted to say. We need to let us aid workers continue to work with them openly, and I'll be willing to help any way I can with the migrants. God bless.
Thank you very much for your comments. Our final speaker today is Havel Jones.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Havel Jones. I've been in this city for 76 years. This is my first council meeting. I never really felt I needed to come. But with this migrant situation, I had to come because I'm the president of the block club on my block. The lady that came up here and spoke first lived next door to me. They moved those people in there, and they done just ran, they about to run, they done ran her out. The woman can't get no rest. I'm next door to them. Since it cooled off, I can't hear them too good now because they done let the windows down. But before that, I could hear like they was in my living room. And the thing I want to say, that's my alderman right there, Mo, my alderman. I went to see Mo. We went to the police station. We went to the senator. We went everywhere that we could go to try to get some help for that lady. I'm speaking for Miss Allen. It's a shame that that woman, all of us are retired people mostly on that block. We got a good, healthy block club. We keep our streets up. We cut our grass. But those people that came in there, it's like somebody told them that you don't have to respect black folks. I believe that's got to be what they told them. Said you don't got to respect them black folks. You send them over there and you can do anything you want to do with them. They doing everything that you could imagine. I mean, it's ridiculous. They got them young girls, they come over there, they let the windows up. Now, I live next door. If you let your windows up, they let the windows up, the screens up and everything. I can look at the young girls behind. laying in the bed next door. I got grandkids that live on that block. Something needs to be done. I went to the Alderman Curtis, talked to him. Went over to the church, and the church was full of people talking about these migrants. I'm not against no migrants. I just want to live where I've been paying rent and bought that home to stay there, and I want to do it in peace. And they not letting us do it, and we don't got nobody to go see. So, Mayor, who do I go to see when I voted for you and I can't get no help? Talk to me. Somebody tell me something. It's ridiculous. Talk back to me. I'm talking to you. You can't get nothing done in this town unless you got some money or somebody slick to talk to. I need some help now. I'm through. Help me.
Thank you for your comments. Your Honor, there are no further speakers who have timely signed up for the public comment period.
Thank you for the public comments. I would like to first recognize that we have some individuals that are visiting with us today. Former State Senator Ricky Hendon is here. We usually clap for people, so thank you. The Cook County Commissioner of the 1st District, Tara Stamps, is here. I see that Senator Robert Peters is also here. We also have State Senator Lakeisha Collins is here. And I've noticed a true champion, someone who has served this state impeccably. Leader, State Representative Mary Flowers is also here. And finally, for those of you who believe that my suit is tighter today, it's not. I've been doing more push-ups at the request of Alderman Chico. Thank you very much. I'm doing my best to look swole. Communications.
Communication. A communication from His Honor the Mayor to the Honorable the City Council of the City of Chicago. Ladies and gentlemen, I transmit herewith the proposed 2024 budget recommendations. Your favorable consideration of this item will be appreciated. Very truly yours, Brandon Johnson, Mayor. For the Committee on Budget and Government Operations, I, City Clerk Anna Valencia, have also received communication from Annette Guzman, Budget Director, dated October 11, 2023, pursuant to Section 1860 of the Illinois Truth in Taxation Law regarding the 2024 amended aggregate property tax levy, which is placed on file.
Thank you. Good morning, and thank you all for being here today. During my campaign for mayor, I spoke about the challenging fiscal reality of our city and my vision for investing in people and communities. The budget that I am releasing today reflects those challenges and our opportunities to begin the critical investments that are necessary to build a better, stronger, and more safer Chicago. As we begin this work, I am thinking about my own family, especially my father, a pastor, a union laborer, raising 10 children and taking in foster children, working multiple jobs to keep us fed and sheltered. It is families like mine that I want to uplift with this budget. Families that I served as a teacher in Cabrini Green, USA, families that stood alongside of me when we fought to keep public schools and mental health clinics open. Families that have been driven out of Chicago over the last decade by budgets that underinvested in their communities while overtaxing their households with regressive property taxes. And I made a commitment to invest in people without balancing this budget on the backs of working families. And that is why I'm proud that this budget makes strategic investments in people and communities without raising base property taxes. It is a promise that I have made as a candidate and one that I'm keeping as mayor. This budget and multiple budgets to come, it's the people's budget. Investing in people is at the heart of this budget and my administration because I, like so many Chicagoans, know what disinvestment looks and feels like. Many of you know that my wife and I are raising our 3 children in Austin on the west side. We love our community, and we are proud to embrace its unique spirit each and every day. But we know that communities on the south and west sides, like Austin, deserve better. And too many communities in our city are shackled by disinvestment and a lack of opportunity and basic amenities. But the good news today is this is the city of Chicago, and here anything is possible. More than 100 years ago, when the Chicago River flowed into Lake Michigan, contaminating the drinking water and jeopardizing the health and safety of Chicago residents, this city committed to a monumental feat of engineering and ingenuity and rerouted its mighty waters. If we can do that, then we can certainly reroute the rivers of prosperity to the banks of disinvestment. In the song Liquid Spirit by Gregory Porter, he says, the people are thirsty because of man's own natural hand. Watch what happens when the people catch wind, when the water hits the banks of that hard, dry land. Now, it will take time, but we are going to see, Chicago, what happens when water hits that dry land. With each investment in our neighborhoods and our people, what I like to call the soul of Chicago, we are going to witness our city's great potential. We will ensure that every resident of this city can thrive in peace and prosperity, connected to all the resources they need to confidently say that we all know this to be true, that this is the greatest freaking city in the world, the city of Chicago. What I present here today is just our first step towards a better, stronger, safer Chicago. While building this budget, we had to confront the fiscal headwinds that we inherited. A $538 million structural deficit driven by rising labor expenses, dwindling COVID-era federal funding, and an unprecedented escalating wave of migration that our city has never budgeted for before. We also had to confront decades of decisions and indecision that, quite frankly, left too many of our communities and working families behind. Leadership means telling people the truth. That is what has been missing in Chicago. Administrations have refused to be honest about the true cost of excessive property tax and fee increases, evading pension obligations year after year, and underinvesting in our people, who are our city's greatest asset. But I campaigned on ending the politics of old and presenting Chicago residents an honest and transparent budget. That is what our city needs and deserves, and that is what we have done. Since releasing the budget forecast, my budget team and department heads have been hard at work developing a plan that not only closes the budget gap, but makes strategic investments in people and communities, especially those who have experienced historic disinvestment. We sought to do this through structural solutions without an over-reliance on one-time revenue. And I'm proud to say that today we present a balanced budget of $16.6 billion. And how do we do this? We prioritize $253 million in expenditure savings, consisting of operational savings that do not cut service provisions, but focus on efficiencies and service delivery. Savings derived from better management of healthcare costs, and savings from strategic bond refinancing. This balanced budget also includes improved revenue projections of $321 million, consisting of higher revenue projections based on improved economic forecasts for key taxes, increased TIF surplus collection, and the strategic use of the city's fund balance. Again, I want to underscore that we balance this budget without increasing the city's base property tax. I was elected to end this government's addiction to the regressive taxation that has pushed working families to the brink, and that begins today. One top of mind issue that we are responding to in the moment is the wave of new arrivals who coming to Chicago seeking a better life in our country. More than 400 buses of asylum seekers have been sent to Chicago from the border since January of 2023. Of those, more than 300, roughly 75%, have been sent since the weekend before I was inaugurated. And currently, more than 11,000 asylum seekers are in shelters under the city's care, with nearly 4,000 at our police districts and airports waiting placement. Asylum seekers are fleeing countries destabilized for years by dangerous foreign policy. They see this nation and our city as a beacon of hope, like so many immigrants before. And Chicago is a place strong enough to welcome and embrace newcomers while honoring our commitments to those who are already here, especially residents of communities that have long suffered from neglect and disinvestment. I'm going to be perfectly clear. What current residents need and deserve from our city is not the same as what new arrivals need in this moment. But we must meet all demands if we truly love all people. I am fully committed to doing just that in the coming months and years ahead. You elected a mayor who loves people. Well done, Chicago. Let me also be very clear about why these buses are coming to our city at such a rapid rate. The situation was created by right-wing extremists threatened by our values, and they're bent on sowing chaos and division in our city. But I don't flinch in the face of challenges, and neither does the city of Chicago. Since the first bus arrived over a year ago, we have upheld those values to welcome individuals and families seeking asylum. And I want to express my deep personal gratitude to the city staff, our mutual aid partners and volunteers, and Chicago residents and communities that have dedicated this effort for this past year. This budget supports increased staffing within the Department of Family and Support Services and the Office of Emergency Management and Communications to manage the network of migrant shelters and to support transition to self-sufficiency. And after inheriting an expensive emergency contract, multiple expensive contracts, my administration is also finding ways to both expand space and lower the costs by renegotiating staffing and food contracts and contracting and hiring Chicagoans and Chicago businesses to provide the critical services. With the temporary protected status that's extended to Venezuelans, we are also ramping up our work authorization to enable new arrivals to work and seek pathways out of shelters. And as our city meets the moment, we continue to call upon the state of Illinois and the federal government to provide greater coordination and collaboration and resources dedicated to this issue. Now, how we support those who seek refuge in our country and in our city, it speaks to our values. But make no mistake, this is not just our issue. It is a state issue, a national issue, a global issue. But because we are the city of Chicago, we will continue to do our part, and we call upon all of our partners to do theirs. Now, supporting this humanitarian endeavor and investing in our residents, it's not an either or. We can do both, and we will. To ensure we base the development of this budget on the principles of co-governance, My administration lengthened our community engagement process so that we can get the ideas from everyone, hear from a broad group of stakeholders. And throughout this process, my administration held 4 budget engagement meetings in communities across the city, including for the first time ever, a budget summit with more than 350 young people collecting their ideas and hearing directly from them. In fact, we collected thousands of comments and responses and surveys from residents. We met with hundreds of community and issue-based advocates, and we listened to Chicago City Council caucus leaders, chairpersons, and alderpersons to better understand the critical priorities of their communities. This process has been informed by people because we know that to truly make transformative investments in people, we must do so with people. And that's what this budget does. The 2024 budget is a down payment on this administration's priorities to empower people, and especially young people, through economic and employment opportunities. Because our youth are our city's present and future. The scripture says, where your treasure is, so will your heart be also. And our heart remains with our treasure, our children. My administration will invest in young people because they are the ones who will lead us to a better, stronger, safer Chicago. As a former teacher and father of 3, for me, there is no other way. We know that 59% of the workforce population under the age of 25 in this city is made up of workers of color. And we also know that unemployment among young Chicagoans, particularly our young black women, rose during the pandemic and is still lagging behind in the pandemic rebound. But to address this, on my first day in office, I signed an executive order charging the budget director to evaluate all available resources within the year's budget to reallocate to existing city-funded youth development or youth employment and enrichment programs, to support additional summer positions as well as year-round employment opportunities. And within weeks of taking office, and in collaboration with our sister agencies, community organizations, the business community, we were able to increase the number of youth summer employment by 4,000 jobs, filling nearly 25,000 positions over the summer, an increase of 20% from the previous summer. But we know that's not enough. We know that's not enough because more than 46,000 young people applied for our summer programs this year. So here's what we're doing. We're dedicating more than $76 million towards youth jobs and programming in the budget, which will fund nearly 4,000 additional youth employment opportunities with the target of providing more than 28,000 opportunities for young people this summer. That's in this budget. And this is how we begin to make transformative change in the lives of our young people. Change that we will build on in future budgets. Our investments, however, are not only in youth employment opportunities, but employment opportunities for all Chicagoans. And that is why last week, the City Council passed the historic one fair wage legislation that finally ends sub-minimum wage for tipped workers in an industry that black women are overwhelmingly impacted by. The City Council gave black women a raise. Now, as we work to implement one fair wage and other legislation that upholds the rights and protections of Chicago's workers, we are investing in additional staff and resources within the Department of Business Affairs and Consumer Protection's Office of Labor Standards to ensure that they have the resources needed to defend and serve all workers. In addition, to bolster my commitment to Chicago workers, this budget establishes the Office of Labor Relations within the mayor's office, led by Deputy Mayor Bridget Early. And this office will ensure that this administration's efforts and policies align with the needs of both employee and employer while working to create a better, stronger, and safer working conditions for all of our workers. We do that in this budget. Another pillar of my administration will be to ensure that Chicagoans have access to the tools and services they need to lead healthy lives. And this begins with addressing the mental health needs of our communities by continuing to invest more than $15 million per year in the mental health safety net system while expanding by 75% the number of Chicago Department of Public Health mental health staff working in our public clinics and within our 911 response teams. This budget also makes critical investments towards aligning our mental health network with the principles of treatment, not trauma. With more than doubling the number of staff on the CARE 911 alternate response team, Black Chicagoans are the largest group served by both CARE 911 and outpatient mental health providers, making up 43% of the total number of people in both programs. So this large and well-resourced 911 alternate response program will allow us to continue helping the people most affected by disinvestment, expanding the number of neighborhoods that these teams serve, allowing for extended service hours into the evenings and weekends. Through this investment, my administration is moving alternate response out of a pilot phase and making it permanent part of how we approach crisis response in the city of Chicago. With care and compassion and not mass incarceration and traumatization. No more for our communities. This budget also builds capacity for another tenet of treatment, not trauma. The reopening of additional mental health clinics by continuing funding for our existing clinics. And supporting 2 additional clinics within existing CDPH spaces. City Council last week also voted in support of the creation of a treatment, not trauma working group, which over the course of the next year will develop and identify the best methods for expanding city-provided mental health clinic services throughout communities and bringing back our capacity for fully ran, city-run mental health clinics. We are making our city a safer and a more compassionate and healthier place for everyone. It's that same spirit that this budget furthers my administration's commitment to environmental justice. You know, this summer we saw some of the most disastrous effects of climate change. The torrential rainfall that flooded homes on the west and south side, southwest sides, and the wildfire smoke that covered our city. And we know that not every Chicagoan and not every neighborhood feels the effects of climate change the same way. The impact of climate change is deeply steeped in inequity. More than a third of the city's communities have at least one census tract that's considered environmental justice neighborhood, which means that these neighborhoods, mostly in South and West Side communities, have a high concentration of industry, are bisected by major highways, and where pollution and toxic chemicals are a greater threat to the health and safety of our people. And today, I'm happy to announce that this 2024 budget reestablishes the Department of the Environment, which will coordinate our city's environmental and resiliency efforts. In addition to that investment, the FY24 budget also commits $25 million to climate initiatives, including more than $4 million in Chicago's Climate Infrastructure Grant Program, $15 million to decarbonize 1 to 4 unit homes for eligible low-income Chicagoans, and $6 million in city's composting system. And lastly, we must not forget one of the most simplest but very effective climate investment that we can make, and that's our tree canopy. By the end of next year, we will have planted 55,000 new trees, well on our way to our goal of 75,000. In seeking environmental justice, let us not forget about housing justice. Because making investments in affordable housing is another critical and essential focus of my administration. Housing is a human right. And this budget helps secure the right of housing with more than $250 million invested in homelessness supports, including an increase in the city's flexible housing pool and operational supports for our shelter network for the unhoused. Homelessness is up 12% since 2019. And Black Chicagoans account for almost 70% of the unhoused population. It is an outrage that 1/4 of renters pay more than half of their paychecks just to make rent, with little left over for necessities. And it's an injustice that 1 in 4 Black students in Chicago public schools experience homelessness at least once during their lives. Advocates say that there are more than 68,000 Chicagoans that are experiencing homelessness at some point throughout the year, including almost 20,000 Chicago public schools students. And that is why my administration is committed to passing the Bring Chicago Home ordinance to take this to the voters. Bring Chicago Home will create a sustainable and permanent funding source to facilitate permanent supportive housing and address the problem of homelessness in our city. With this budget, we are also expanding the Department of Housing's home repair program to $10 million and pairing that with more than $12 million in funding to offer critical support to low-income homeowners who are in need of repairs. Additionally, we are making the largest annual investment to date to the Home Modification Program, administered by the Mayor's Office of People with Disabilities, ensuring that residents with disabilities can make their homes accessible. These investments will sustain the dream of home ownership for multiple generations of homeowners, stabilizing communities at risk of gentrification. One of the greatest priorities of this administration is making our city a safe place to work and live, to build a business, to buy a home, and to raise a family. So this budget makes investments to increase community safety, including the establishment for the first time ever, the Office of Community Safety within the Mayor's office, led by Deputy Mayor Garen Gatewood. This new Office of Community Safety will work with vested stakeholders and communities to lead our city's full force of government, comprehensive and collaborative community safety strategy. As part of that strategy, we are investing more than $100 million in anti-violence programming, restorative justice for reentry services, domestic violence and gender-based violence prevention and intervention, and the city's Community Safety Coordination Center. These investments will allow us to do a few things: expand our partnerships with community-based violence interrupters, support residents who return home from incarceration, and improve support systems for victims, survivors, and offenders to prevent recidivism. We got to do it with some intelligence. And we're taking a smart, data-driven, community-centered approach to safety while also addressing the root causes of violence. I'm grateful for the City Council's confirmation of Superintendent Larry Snelling. Grateful. Because it's another important step forward in our journey to create a safer Chicago. Superintendent Snelling is a proven leader with decades of experience and the respect of his peers. He's going to reinvigorate our commitment to constitutional policing and full consent decree compliance, which is critical. It's critical for the healing of our communities and the relationship between the community and the police department. So together, Superintendent Snelling and I are committed to increasing the number of detectives the Chicago Police Department to solve major crimes. 70 detectives have been promoted since I've taken office. And this budget creates 100 additional detective positions, moving us more than halfway towards the goal of 200 detectives that I made a commitment to doing during my campaign. This increased investigative capacity will allow us to hold violent offenders accountable while bringing justice and restoring confidence to impacted residents. We also understand that effective policing requires a community-based lens. One major step in that direction is the increased civilianization of our police force. We are adding just under 400 new civilian positions to CPD to provide aid and support, which will free up officers to perform the law enforcement duties for which they were trained. This budget also invests in data and technology resources as we look to evaluate and improve call time response. We will be intentional in our community safety strategy, deploying not just police officers, but the community, businesses, sister agencies, and the full force of government, because we know that true safety requires this approach. And every investment in youth, education, housing, mental health, and environmental justice, layered together for the long term, will fulfill our promise to build a better, stronger, safer Chicago. But it is going to take all of us. And one of the most important obligations that we uphold is our responsibility to deliver efficient and effective services with the greatest impact. And through strategic investments, this budget furthers our progress in the lead service line replacement program. 9 of the top 10 Chicago zip codes with the largest percentages of high lead levels were neighborhoods with the majority of Black and brown residents. The city has set an ambitious goal to replace all 409,000 lead service lines, the most of any U.S. city. And we're doing this to ensure clean drinking water for every single neighborhood and resident, with the priority placed in replacing lead service lines in daycare centers and Black and Latinx communities. In 2024, we will invest more than $53 million to aid this effort, recommitting ourselves to safety for our most vulnerable residents and communities. And one of the best ways we can build the operational capacity in government and provide the most efficient services possible is to invest in our technology infrastructure. And so today, I'm excited to announce that this budget creates a new Department of Technology and Innovation. This is long overdue. To residents and businesses who think that the city's gears churn too slowly or its processes are too cumbersome, this is a critical step in making sure that our government works for you. Better technology means we can process contracts and hire vendors quicker, giving rise to developments that help our communities thrive. And we can enable city departments to innovate and to modernize, spurring economic growth and vitality throughout our entire city. Ultimately, this is an investment in our future, a future that will lead to more accessible, enhanced, and equitable city services. Now, I'm grateful for the financial leadership of this city. It's led by our budget director, Annette Guzman. Thank you for your leadership. Our Chief Financial Officer, Jill Jarowski. And of course, our Comptroller, Chase Rawinkle. It's like finding the beard. If you find the beard, you'll find Chase. But this has been an incredible team. The work that you've done to put this budget together. And with this team at the helm, we will continue to make decisions based on sound fiscal policies, including our commitment to reducing our structural budget deficit over time and meeting our pensions and are managing our debt obligations. We're going to do both. This administration is also committed to fiscal responsibility and ensuring that we have the resources to pay for these new investments. We will not repeat the failures of the past by spending money we do not have and bankrupting our future. We also have relied too long on a tax structure that heavily burdens our lowest income residents and is too reliant on property taxes, fees, and fines and rates. We know that 5%, an annual raise, if you get one, does not coincide with the property tax raises that have constantly burdened us down. Just doesn't happen that way. We also recognize that a $95 city sticker or a $100 parking ticket weighs more heavily on the family that earns $30,000 a year versus a family that earns $150,000 a year. And that is why this budget proposes expanding the city's utility billing relief program to include 3 flat buildings and making the administrative debt relief and clear path relief programs permanent. Because these are programs that will help working families get out of the debt and save for the future, while also managing and maintaining the city's revenue streams. In a recent study, comparing tax burdens in large cities, Chicago families earning $25,000 a year had a total tax burden of 15.4%. And for our families earning $150,000 a year, that tax burden is 11.6%. That family earning $25,000 a year is paying a tax rate that is 33% higher than the family earning $150,000 a year. We got to do better, Chicago. We must do better. And that is why this budget holds the line on property taxes and why we will continue to work with all stakeholders to create revenue that weans us from our addiction to the regressive taxation, pushing so many of our working families out of the city of Chicago. And that is why the first major step in that direction is to bring Chicago home. Now, we will continue to move with competency and compassion and collaboration to find other solutions. And next, I want to talk to you about the important dynamic of pensions in terms of the city and our economic and fiscal health. Our employees seek retirement security through our 4 pension funds. They do not participate in Social Security. Rather, they participate in the collective trust that is a pension. Unfortunately, our pensions are currently only 20% funded because of the city's regretful history of neglecting obligations to the retirement security of its workers. But I'm committed to workers and our pensioners. Early in my administration, I established a pension working group that brought together my administration, labor leaders, state partners, city council leaders, and other advocates and experts to tackle the pressing issue ahead of us, meeting our obligations with sustainable funding sources. And since 2020, the required increases in our pension contributions have risen approximately $1 billion. In this budget, we are making an additional supplemental payment of $307 million on top of our required pension payments in 2024 to ensure that we keep the unfunded liabilities within our pension funds from growing. This supplemental payment will help us move quicker to improve the financial health of our funds and lower the cost over the long term. And in the end, we are demonstrating our commitment to ensuring that pension funds reach a point of financial stability and our retirees receive the benefits that they have earned and deserve. In addition to investing in retirement security, in Chicago, we use municipal bonds to fund capital improvements and investments in critical infrastructure. Using bonds allows us to spread the cost of these investments over time and over the generations will ultimately benefit. This year's budget includes a payment of approximately $1 billion in the principal amount of debt which frees up our capacity for investment in priorities such as our lead service line replacement, airport modernization, and other programs, and so much more. And furthermore, we are distributing grants and moving the Chicago Recovery Plan forward, utilizing bond proceeds and American Recovery Plan funding to support community and neighborhood investments, to grow small businesses, to beautify streetscapes, and to invest in mental health and anti-violence programs. We are analyzing and reviewing the projects in the Chicago Recovery Plan to ensure that the investments are targeted to achieve measurable outcomes for our city. Responsibility and accountability are critical to ensuring the success of the plan. Now, this budget and subsequent budgets inevitably hinge on the strength and resiliency of the Chicago economy. And despite macroeconomic headwinds, the outlook of our economy is strong. And in the next year, our economy will continue to be supported by both large-scale and neighborhood events. My administration is committed to igniting tourism and economic vibrancy and engaging all of our neighborhoods throughout this amazing city. And so we have budgeted and we commit $2 million in funding to support neighborhood festivals, bringing funding for such events back to pre-pandemic levels to celebrate the uniqueness of every single community. In addition to large-scale and neighborhood events, major developments and businesses are coming to Chicago in the years ahead. Google is investing $1 billion in the Thompson Center because its workers want to be in Chicago. That investment will not only invigorate our technology sector, but it will also anchor the revitalization of LaSalle Street for the next generation. Other businesses like Invenergy and the Campari Group continue to make investments in our downtown commercial corridors, facilitate high-growth industries like clean energy in Chicago. Developments like the expansion of logistics firm, which is Total Quality Logistics, New Horizon Steel, which is the largest black-owned steel company in Chicago, and the continued growth of the Fulton Market District will continue to demonstrate the resiliency of our economy. And finally, to ensure our continued growth and strength, this administration and this city will always promote, market, and praise such vital and precious assets. Our reputation of being a central rail, our air, our transportation hub, our world-class colleges and universities, and cultural amenities, our majestic lakefronts and our parks, the best workers in the world, the best food in the world, the diversity of our economy, all of these assets and more are why we can look forward to many more years of growth and vitality. Now, as I close, I am truly humbled and honored to be standing before you, presenting this budget as our first step to fulfilling promises to invest in people and align our work with my vision for a better, stronger, safer Chicago. As we look ahead to the next steps of this budget process and the future of our city, my administration will continue to be grounded in the principles of co-governance and collaboration. Over the next months, my office will closely work with members of this body to pass a budget that reflects our values. We will continue our community engagement efforts as part of that process, ensuring that the voices and ideas of Chicagoans are heard and adopted in our work. I want to thank the Office of Budget Management, city departments, city staff, residents, and the community partners who helped shape this effort. Let us go forth in this journey together, united by the fact that Chicago is truly the greatest city in the world, and we collectively have the power to make it even greater. This is our moment to finally have a budget that reflects the interests and the values of the people. Today, sisters and brothers, Chicago, I present to you the people's budget. Thank you. God bless you all, and God bless the greatest freaking city in the world, the city of Chicago. Chair recognizes Chairman Irvin.
As referenced in the call for the special meeting today, I provided a resolution to the clerk with the proposed resolution provided for publication and setting the date and time of a necessary hearing on the budget, and I ask for the resolution to be read.
Madam Clerk, please read the resolution.
Resolution setting public hearing on 2024 budget. Whereas Mayor Brandon Johnson, October 11, 2022, submitted to the City Council the executive budget of the City of Chicago for their fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2024 and ending December 31st, 2024. And whereas it is provided by law that at least one public hearing shall be held by the corporate authorities on the budget document not less than 1 week after publication thereof in such manner as the corporate authorities may determine and prior to final action thereon. And whereas it is further provided by law that notice of such hearing shall be given by publication in a newspaper having general circulation in the City of Chicago not less than 1 week prior to the time of such hearing. Now therefore, be it resolved that the budget document for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2024 and ending December 31st, 2024 as submitted by the Mayor of the City Council be published in pamphlet form and made available for public inspection in the Office of City Council and City Clerk no later than October 16, 2023. And be it further resolved that the public hearing on said budget document be held by the City Council at 11:30 a.m. on November 1st, 2023 in the City Council chamber in City Hall. The City Clerk is hereby directed to cause a notice of such hearing to be published in a newspaper having general circulation in the City of Chicago at least 1 week prior to the time of such public hearing.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, for reading the resolution. The chair recognizes Chairman Irvin.
Mr. President, I move for the temporary suspension of the rules for the immediate consideration of the resolution.
Hearing no objections, so ordered.
I now move to
Chairman
adopt.
Irvin.
I now move to adopt this resolution by a voice vote.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. The ayes have it. The resolution is passed. Alderman Mitchell for the motion to reconsider.
President, I move to reconsider the vote.
All those in favor of the motion to reconsider, say aye. All those opposed, say no. This motion fails. Chairman Irvin.
A budget hearing schedule will be made available after this meeting in the office of the Committee on the Budget and Government Operations, room 200. The overview and first budget hearing will begin on October 16th, Monday at 10 a.m. here in council chambers. I now move that we return to the regular order of business.
Hearing no objections, so ordered. Alderman Mitchell on a motion to adjourn.
Mr. President, there being no further business before this body, I move that we adjourn.
Hearing no objections, so ordered. This meeting is adjourned.